Oh, my neck. Bonelab is entering into what essentially can amount to a Renaissance-like effect of update after update, and we're getting closer and closer along to the final big update as time goes on. And I realized the video I wanted to make so dearly a couple months ago is kind of becoming less and less relevant, and it could be the thing that I regret most when looking back at my time with Bonelab. And that is, what needs to be solved in this fantastical game that we all love so dear? Now, frankly, Stress Level 0 has been doing a fairly good job, especially with a lot of the improvements being directed at modders and giving them more tools to build it. Fantastic. But there are some problems as me as a player, and this might be a disconnect because I'm not a modder, I'm not a coder or anything like that. I am simply a player that has played a plethora of VR games and has some deep wants for mechanics that could be so good in Bonelab and take it to an entirely different place. At least that's the hope. So with all that being said, here are the things that I hope so dearly Stress Level 0 fixes in the future of Bonelab, because it is so frustrating. The first thing, if I could have anything in the entire world of possibilities with this game, the number one thing would be an improvement to the NPC system. I think it is sincerely the worst in any video game ever, with the only additive that you can kind of touch them, and especially having just come from Blade and Sorcery's AI, which isn't perfect, but it's significantly better than what we have here. A game that I would highly advise people go give a chance is a game called Crossfire Sierra Squadron. It was a game that I kind of shit on at launch because it didn't have any manual reloading. It was all automatic. Felt very like, why? Why would you do this in VR? They later patched it and made it basically just a really good FPS kind of gun game. But that game had some of the best AI I've ever experienced in VR. And it wasn't because the AI was incredibly clever, but they all did a specific task and were fucking great at doing that said task. For example, I remember vividly that there were these shielder type enemies with a pistol that would push in on you, but left their legs and arms exposed, or head exposed. And you could knock them dead and it felt so rewarding. But also, because they were coded correctly, they never really got too close to you. They always made sure to keep their distance, which meant you could hide behind some cover and pop out whenever you needed to pop them in the head. There were also these massive tank enemies that batted everything out of the way and eventually forced you out of cover, or you would just knock them dead. Even thinking about a game like Half-Life having drones that basically fly in on you and force you to get out of cover, or at least deal with that problem first, while the convoy are shooting at you and throwing grenades from afar. My point with all this is that I don't think good AI is restricted to how clever the AI adapts to each ever-increasing situation, but instead, an AI that does a said thing that makes you as a player have to react in turn. This is the thing that's the biggest plague in Bonelab for me, is that you have a physics engine where you can pick up a gun and slam it into someone's face. You can pick up a board and crack it over someone. You can use a garbage can as a riot shield and bash the hell right into somebody. You can use the physics world against your enemies, but then the AI asks none of that for you. Or if at the very least, it seems like they're all kind of stagnant and they're in their own little world. And I think Stress Level 0 to some extent knows this, hence why we do have a gun type of enemy, as broken and fucky as it is, which are on a ball and they eventually kind of slowly find their way to you. And we have the head crabs that are similar to the drones in Half-Life that will slowly try to push in on you over time. I just don't think they've actually applied them in such a way that actually makes them aggressive enough to make them exciting or interesting. So the one thing I so deeply want to be improved when it comes to the game that I love so much is AI, please, or NPCs. Honestly, at this point, I would just take NPCs that are like Ford, which have like grabbable bodies, not like hollow digital copies of something that you can barely interact with. I would love so badly if you could interact with them and they were holding things like rifles and guns and could push in on you. Maybe if you want to get crazy, they could hold up a riot shield and a pistol, and that would make it so that you do need to like run into them and punch it or rip out the shield, grab the gun and punch something. Something that would have you dynamically use the physics-based engine to actually make this a creative thing. How you react with the NPCs is not going to be the same as these other games because you can dynamically react with the physics of their body. This is going to be an ongoing theme with this whole video. This might be impossible, and I do not know why, but it could be, because I don't know the complexity of all this stuff. Maybe that's not what they want for their vision of the game. This is me selfishly saying, Stress Level 0, please, please. Just a penance of an improvement to the AI would be great. Also, again, check out that Crossfire game. Bet you can get a discount. It didn't really sell well, which is a shame because it did have pretty good AI. The second big negative to Bonelab that I think would make all the world of a difference if it was actually improved, I'll grant you this one's probably a little tricky to actually make a dent in, improve the seating system or the driving system. To me, man, I don't know why, but the system in this game, I don't know what it is, but there's something about driving in specifically Bonelab that feels like you're constantly fighting against the physics of the world. Like your whole body wants to implode by you having done this said thing. The best way I can describe it is it's almost like your hips are locked into place, and if you try to like reach over here, your body fights you and moves you this way, but you have no control over that in a weird way. I feel like such a better system would be to lock your legs in place, and I don't care if you have to make your body like a little wiggly, stretchy worm, but the idea that you can move, and then at the very highest point of mobility, it's restricting you, then maybe that. But all I can say is if you fix this, oh my god, the potential for modding could go through the roof. I remember we played with a Titanfall mod back in the day, and it was so sick, but oh my god, I don't even know if you'd have to be the most like bulletproof motion sickness king who doesn't get affected by nothing in order to be able to rock that, because every single time you try to move the Titan, in this case, forward, your body would constantly like oscillate and jostle, and you just want to vomit. Essentially, it's horrible. And the same thing for the driving. Like, I think people who can drive in Bonelab are like people who can like rub their stomach and pat their head and stuff like that. Like, it's neat, but like, when is this going to be used? Like, you're using a broken system to dwell, essentially. So yes, but also please no. My point is if they could somehow figure out a system to like slotting you in place and then having you like not control your body anymore, but they're having your camera locked, or just like being able to oscillate this, not constantly having to move like this, and then if you get far enough away from your body, it starts forcing you this way, which makes you motion sick because it starts canceling out what your movement's actually doing. Instead, if it were to lock you this in place and then allow you to move over to these places with your head and your webcam, would be great. Even if it looked like my stomach was stretching like putty, I would much rather that than feeling like sickness. Who needs a head? Am I right? Moving on to the second chunk of this, these are things that I think would be good if they improved and massively aid in the enjoyment factor of this game, but ultimately are not as big as those two wants. Please, stress level 0. Just fix those two. But here are some things I think would be absolutely sugar on top if they were able to manage it, especially when it comes to making this whole experience that we're constantly experiencing in Bonelab with mods and exploring levels and stuff like that. I think these two things would go really far. The first thing being a quest-adjacent quest log. Something for you to actually give modders the ability to say, when you get to this area or this point, it detonates a flag, and then that flag, where I'm not sure if it's a book or if it's a HUD like this, but just something where you could trigger to your player, hey, the mod author wants you to do this said thing. Maybe you're playing a map and it says climb to the top of that skyscraper with your bare fucking hands using the climbing mechanics. Awesome. But having something as a guiding metric for you to go a certain place would be fantastic, rather than modders constantly having to like spray paint walls to be like, it's this way, I guess, or maybe there, or for you to be lost and being like, what's the fucking point? And you didn't realize you had to go and detonate, quote unquote, a flag, and it just leads to friction and complication. And if you wanted to have the like, you know, I want this level to be purist based, you know, like just you got to figure it out yourself, no help at all. People can still have that, but you can also have the guidance for modders who do want to give people a specific directive. And also it would allow you to kind of like set into the role play of whatever you're doing. Maybe you're playing like an ex-spy going through a level. Fantastic. The modder could write in the text dialogue, you're an assassin, go here and kill this target. So you can do it stealth, you can do it non-lethal or lethal, whatever it could be, right? So I think having some sort of quest system would be absolutely fantastic and would do a lot for the overall enjoyment of a lot of the amazing levels that modders have been making as of late. The second thing, and this is kind of like, this is where I'm really out of my element, I don't know how hard this would be to add, but I would love a backpack system in this game, specifically with the whole lore of Bonelab, how you're going through ever-generating levels, and yet you're able to like keep your digitized body that you've designed, your avatar. It just feels not right to not be able to carry things that you found in the open world, clues, trinkets, useful items, to the next level that you might use it in. So having like a backpack-like gear thing would be so fantastic. And I don't think this, again, this is where I'm out of my element, I don't think this sounds impossible to add, because it's essentially just this. If you think about Saints and Sinners, where the backpack was largely popularized, it is literally just like a node that just eats up your item, and there happens to be an image where your item was. I don't see how different this is than the utility thing. You already have your favorites menu. All your backpack would be is largely a favorites menu, and when you put something into your backpack slot, it would just remember the code number essentially, and then spawn it again when you grab it. And I don't think that could be impossible to add, but it would still be cool for you to carry things over, because as you explore in each level. You're able to collect certain items, and I don't see how that would be impossible to not have a backpack in which you can carry useful items to level by level. And imagine how fun that would be as a mod author who's able to say, okay, you need to play level 1 because you need to get this one gravity tool or this crowbar or something that allows you to actually climb up this giant skyscraper, which is my mod that's number 2, or so to speak, something of that nature. I think that would be so fun and like endlessly cool, especially for modders to play with. And I think it would fit within the lore of Bonelab. The idea that, okay, you're one of these void walkers, well, holy shit, if you've played 1,000 mods and you have a backpack filled with all kinds of crazy gear, a death weapon from the Doom level you played, and a silly shield from the Zelda map you played, so and so. And each one of those things could be helpful and be deployed in a level that is more open to whatever you want to bring into it. I think that would be so awesome. But those are the two that I think would be nice to have in the game. If it's not in the game, it's not the end of the world, but it'd be really nice to have this in the ideal world. Okay, great. The last thing, and this is kind of just like, I don't even know how, this is like a rant, I guess. The melee in this game is like shockingly frustrating and bad. Maybe it's just because we have another game called Blade and Sorcery, which just nails that. But oh my god, is it just frustrating. If you're not going to do the melee thing, like you're like, it's just our cup of tea, it'd be cool as a consolation prize that we get the ability to like modify our guns, putting scopes, like the Rex-Mex mod essentially, and then being able to take that into other levels, i.e. you put the weapon on your back or put it in your backpack, something, and then be able to take that out and be able to use that going forward. Rather than you having to like deploy 6 different things with your gizmo gun and then like attach tiny little things onto one weapon and be like, good, that took fucking 3 minutes. I hate my life. Oh, man, it's kind of selfish to ask for, but I would love it if Stress Level Zero, the creators of this game, sat down and like talked about and acknowledged the popularity of certain mods. And it'd be awesome putting that in the base game itself. One of those things being Gibletable. Gibletable is probably one of the most fun mods in Bonelab that is not here anymore because we went to different levels. Point is, it'd be awesome if Stress Level Zero actually put that stuff in the game and create a framework for modders to build off of. You could make a cyber Terminator man that you can shoot and like sparks blow off of the head. Maybe this is putting too much on Stress Level Zero to make a blueprint and then give it to the modders. But I don't know, I think it'd be much better to have things like that are so tried and tested that people love these mods, like the Rex-Mex gun attachment mods. That's clearly something that the people who play Bonelab adore and want more of. Same thing with the Gibletable. It'd be really cool to see Stress Level Zero at least acknowledge their limitation on doing something like that. Maybe the Gibletable mod would give it like a certain rating system that they don't want, although Bonelab's already sold. So yeah, anyways, I think that if anything, that would just make a more mature audience move into it then. Perhaps they could give a framework without like doing exactly that, i.e. give the modders the tools to do that without being held liable for having put that in the game and making it a little more edgy or impact driven. Anywho, this is the video I wanted to make for such a long time, and as time went by, the Stress Level Zero started actually like addressing some of these issues, which was fantastic. But then I was really worried about the looming fact that maybe, possibly, the things that I most definitely want to see improved in Bonelab would never actually be improved because their priority list is maybe different from my own. So I thought now's the time to make myself, and the main point of this video, you heard. In the comments down below, please, for the love of God, tell me what kind of person you are, if you're a modder, or if you're a player, or if you're new to VR, or if you're a long-time VR player, if you are standalone, or if you are PC VR. Please tell me who you are, and then what you want to see from the game. What would be a thing that they could add that would make a massive difference to this game? For me, the number one is NPCs, and the vehicle things are probably the most undercooked thing. But also, again, a modder might be able to give insight and be like, no. Give me these 3 tools. This is the code version of the tools that will allow me to allow all of us to fix all those problems anyway. Give us this, which I won't know what that is because I'm not a modder, right? So it would be cool to see what everyone is thinking about how to basically make this game the game that we all so deeply want. So in the comments down below, let me know what you guys think. Also, let me know if I missed anything. I feel like I don't when you like make a video and you're like there's something that's just like it's on the tip of my tongue. I feel like I've missed it and I hate it. But please tell me what you think. Now's the time to make your voice heard because there's still some time for our suggestions to make it into the final push that is the full completion, quote unquote, of Bonelab. But last, ladies and gentlemen, thank you kindly for your time. Thank you for putting up with me. More videos or whatever down the line. More story, rambling thing. Love you. Mwah. Okay, bye. Ha! Also, this mod is beautiful, but there's a little tiny little shed there that's probably demons because it's Babacorp who makes demon shit in his level, and I don't want any of that. Not unless I'm streaming.